I think the first and foremost thing that's really important is business planning. And that's one of the things I teach is this is a business. I'm running a business. I can't run this business without a business plan. And you're not going to be successful by osmosis. You can, if you're following me and you're watching me and you're learning and you're taking from it what's going to work for you, because I don't say do exactly like I do. It may not work for everybody, but you have to have a business plan. And a lot of agents fail to do that because it's a hassle or they feel like it's, whether it's a nuisance or it's not necessary or it's like homework. But if you're going to open up an ice cream stand, you're not going to just open up the doors. You're going to plan out what flavors are you going to serve? How are you going to get your business? How are you going to treat your business? How are you going to grow your business? What's it going to look like this year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And look at that plan because that's your roadmap to how to get there.
Welcome back to the Why Do I Suck as a Real Estate Agent podcast. I got a really special guest today, Cindy Quade, out of New York. She is the broker and owner of Signature One Realty Group there in the Capital Region. She has over 35 years of experience specializing in new and existing home sales. She's extensive on marketing, has been responsible for nearly $1 billion with a B dollars in real estate sales. Her leadership includes serving as director of New York State Association of Realtors and past president of the Women's Council of Realtors. She was named Realtor of the Year in 2009, so real heavy hitter here. I'm sure she's got a whole bunch of other designations and all those things. But Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be on.
Yeah. I'm grateful to have you on, and you don't produce $1 billion in real estate without going through some pitfalls and hurdles, but also without being very good at your job, or career, I should say, not your job. But so I'm, again, really thankful that you're on today and really want to get into it. Every time I always like to ask the beginning, the origin story of your real estate career, 35 years of experience. How did it start? Where did it begin? And then a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I feel like I always had a love for real estate, but my career started, it could have gone in any direction. I feel like it's, if you ever saw the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, it could have gone this way or it could have gone that way. And it was just about some of the choices I made. I always had real estate in the back of my mind. I always loved, my parents would take me to open houses as a teenager, and I loved doing that. I don't know why they did that, because they really weren't shopping or looking for a home, but I guess they liked to look at homes too, and I loved it, and it just, it became my passion and grew into a whole career and I think a lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into it a little bit here. Let's talk about the core reasons why agents suck today and how can they fix it. So habits, training gaps, pitfalls. I'm sure you have a whole myriad of things, and this has probably evolved, I would think, because early on, real estate was much different than it is now. When you started, there wasn't the internet aspect of it. It's changed, it's tweaked. So why are agents just struggling nowadays?
It's funny because when I read that topic, it was like, why do I suck? And I'm thinking, I suck? Some days.
You get to be the person who says the reason why people suck. So
I'm going to tell you that what I think is that, why do I think agents suck? Certainly they don't all suck. But I think that the fundamentals, and I think also the misconception of why they get in the business can lead them to that. There's obviously, from NAR and statistics, a lot drop out and don't make it, which is sad. So I think that is a big part of it, and why agents struggle is just the lack of planning and direction.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the idea of coming into this, and I had a great conversation with another person on the podcast, and reality versus fantasy is a big thing in this business, where we have the TV shows, of course, right? All the HD TV shows and all that stuff. And those agents that are on there are, for the most part, probably real. Also, they're successful. They've put the work in. They've gotten the work done. They've gotten to that point where they're able to be on TV and be confident enough to be on TV. But they don't, what most people I'm seeing, and then why they fail, is they look at somebody who's successful in the business. They go and mimic it for a week, and then they think, I'm entitled to this, I'm going to be really good at this job, and they quit working, they quit growing, or they have just unrealistic expectations coming in. So what do you think every agent, or what would you advise somebody that they understood on day one? You're coming into this business, hey, I want to be a realtor. What's your next question?
I always ask people what they think real estate is about. And I think that's where, for me, it starts, because it is ultimately a sales job, but it is a service. And that's really important. I think that people don't really understand that. They think it's, oh, I get to look at homes and all of that. And it's not that. And they also, if I hear somebody say, I want to get in real estate because it's flexible, it's not flexible.
No, it's not.
The only thing that, has to be flexible is you. 100% all the time. I just got a call. Somebody wants to meet me 9 o'clock on Thursday. It's
New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. Do I want to be at an appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning? I really don't. But guess what? I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
And so that's the first question I ask. And I ask also what they feel like they're going to put into it. What is their investment in time, investment in education, and commitment to it? And then why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do this?
Yeah, exactly. I think from there you can find out if they'll be a good fit for your brokerage from day one. And that's something, as a new broker, I've been a broker for 2 years, and we have a little bit of turnover. We just had some recently, and I think part of it is that entitlement that comes along with it. There was success, and then there wasn't, and then it was my fault, not their fault, which is really interesting to me on how people do that. And I come from an athletic background, so everything is earned, everything, you win and you lose, right? So for me, it's easy to understand that, but when somebody doesn't come from that competitive background, I struggle a little bit with helping understand why they tick and how can they get so entitled so quickly with just a little bit of success. And that's the part that I think I struggle with personally.
Yeah, I think it's important to be objective with and open-minded.
Yeah.
And I try to, it's hard when you're interviewing somebody. I always like people right away, and so I always think the best.
Yeah,
and I think
same.
what they say is going to be what they do,
Yeah.
which I think is really important. But there are some agents that live in excuses, and so that, and I have a very fine line for that. There may be a reason for something, but there's a difference between reasons and excuses.
Yep.
And so that happens. I think that's where, if an agent is really not open-minded and self-reflecting, and they could just have one excuse after another as to why it's not clicking, and I think that they have to get out of that spiral.
Yeah, for sure. So what is, like, when you're starting out, mastering the basics actually look like? What should an agent have for daily activities?
I think the first and foremost thing that's really important is business planning. And that's one of the things I teach is this is a business. I'm running a business. I can't run this business without a business plan. And you're not going to be successful by osmosis. You could, if you're following me and you're watching me and you're learning and you're taking from it what's going to work for you, because I don't say do exactly like I do. It may not work for everybody, but you have to have a business plan. And a lot of agents fail to do that because it's a hassle, or they feel like whether it's a nuisance or it's not necessary, or it's like homework. But if you're going to open up an ice cream stand, you're not going to just open up the doors. You're going to plan out what flavors are you going to serve? How are you going to get your business? How are you going to treat your business? How are you going to grow your business? What's it going to look like this year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? And look at that plan, because that's your roadmap to how to get there. And that's the first, I think that's the first thing that they need to do. And then a component of that has to be education. Even me, in all the years in business, I do not stop growing and learning, because there's something new out there all the time.
Yep, for sure. So what skills are your top agents committing to each year, each day, really? Like, when you see the difference between somebody struggling and somebody not struggling, maybe one or two behaviors that you're seeing the difference in.
First and foremost, you look at, it depends on where somebody's at in their business. If they've been in the business for a number of years, then you can look at what's working, what's effective, what do you want to double down on, what do you want to, maybe it's not working, but with a little tweaking it can. But I think when you have the basics, it's about consistency. I think also time blocking. That's something we really worked on a lot this past year, time block. And so even myself, because I get distracted easily. I've got ridiculous amount of emails and phone calls and things like that. Plus,
Yep.
I'm responsible for others, so I can get distracted. I have right in my calendar, my time blocks are in my calendar, so it pops up. This is what I do every morning from 8 to 8:45. This is what I do every morning. If it's another task, database.
Yeah.
Database. My agents are so sick of hearing that from me, but it's basic and it's all right there. And so nurturing that, looking at it, working on it, time block it, put it in your calendar. That's what you're going to do, and have a plan for when something comes up can't be avoided, and where is that task going to go? Is it going to go away? It's just like working out in the morning. When you don't do it and then you don't do it another day, then you just stop doing it.
For sure.
So where are you going to put that? If it's time blocked for 9 to 10, from 9 to 10, then where are you going to put that if something at 9 to 10 has to be taken care of instead? Are you going to put it at 6 to 7? Where are you going to put it?
Yep,
or
for
you
sure.
can double it the next day. So
Yeah.
those things, the agents that do that and are accountable, those are the ones that are most successful.
Yep.
Consistently most successful.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's, you hit on all of the points that really start off is consistency. And this is a compound effect, right? Like, you may not see those results right away. Usually, this is a 90-day business, right? Every 90 days is when we have some sort of turnover in our business. If you plant seeds on day 1, you're probably going to see them start growing on day 90. That's
Right.
just the reality. Sometimes grow faster, sometimes take a lot longer to nurture, but that's the reality of this business is it takes consistency and time. It's the compound effect, right? Consistency over time equals massive results. If you just do it a little bit at a time, you don't see the same results as somebody who's doing that behavior
Right.
every single day. So same thing with working out. And I think that's important too. And it's something we haven't really discussed on this podcast at all is just lifestyle, right? Like, it's a tough lifestyle. It is really, like you said, you could be doing a showing at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. on any given day. And my non-negotiables is I need the gym in the morning. Like, I just need to get it done, get it out of the way because that's important. And then always working on what you're putting into your body, what you're not putting into your body. And you can get sucked in. I quit drinking 2.5 years ago
Right.
because this business was starting to suck me in. And there's an opportunity to drink every single day, especially in Green Bay, where I live, where you have the ability to do that. So I'm either all in or all out. So I just decided to go all out.
Awesome. Yeah. It's true. I'm guilty of it too. And a lot of times I'm at my desk for hours. So I got a little time clock, it's a little cute little timer, almost like a cooking timer.
Yep.
And I set that, and every 45 minutes, that thing goes off. I get up and walk around.
That's a good idea.
I just have to.
Yeah, I got one of
Otherwise,
those
3 hours.
now that yells at me when I'm not doing that. So time to get up and stretch. I'm like, all right. All right, so you specialize quite a bit now. You're in the new construction. So let's talk about that for those who really aren't. That's a path that I want to start getting down. I've done a few new constructions, but really haven't got into it consistently yet. So what does every agent need to know before taking on new builds?
So it really depends on how you're going to specialize in new construction. So I specialized very early on in my career, and I say it jokingly because of lock boxes. Back in the day, we didn't have lock boxes.
Sure.
So we used to have to make appointments and then go pick up keys and then show property and drop keys off, and I hated it. And one day I walked into a new construction site and I watched the agent sitting behind a desk, and everyone came to her, and I was like, but it was better than an open house because she was there every weekend or 4 days a week, and people just came in and it's just no keys, no nothing. I was like, I'm in. But it depends, like I said, how you want to break through. If you want to break through with a builder, or you want to break through representing buyers, taking them to new construction. I think learning about homes and how they're built and what goes into it is essential to understanding that, understanding land, what land can and can't do. But if you want to break in with builders, marketing's key, having the right marketing. That's how I got in, because one of the things, my background is marketing. That's what I went to school for, and obviously specializing in real estate. But really, I went for the big builder in the area. I just wanted the big guy. I just loved his work, and I followed him around. I stalked him, and just had really creative marketing pieces that were a little bit out of the box.
Sure. So do you want to spill any of those secrets?
That was basically it. I always tried to be where that builder was. At the time, with that particular builder,
I meant for marketing parts.
oh, for marketing. I'll tell you, we did a couple spoofy things back then. Marketing is one of our specialties. I think our marketing is, I have an in-house graphic designer who does beautiful work. I am a little OCD, so I'm very particular about where things are, even if it's moving it a smidge. She's learned what is the difference between a smidge and a tad. Move it over a tad, move it over a smidge. Very fussy on that. But some of and again, this goes into being successful right now, is being really creative. And everybody works differently. I'm not creative all the time, but I know I just had an idea the other day, which I'm not going to share, which is going to be our campaign. And if you want to follow us, you'll see it. And then how we're going to put it together. But things I did back in the day, I remember, excuse me, we had a condo project and we did this campaign and it was spoofy. So I think you have to, at least me personally, I think you have to interject humor.
Yep.
I think
Agreed.
it's so important. Like you can be serious because a lot of our branding can look very formal and sophisticated. So I try to bring it down with some humor in there and humanity. But back in the day, so we did this big condo project and our campaign was come in and receive a number 2 pencil. We had people lined up out the door. And I'll never forget.
Number 2 pencil, huh?
A number 2 pencil. And we did all this stuff. We had everything prepared for the open house and all of that. And we had tons of people. And we forgot to get the pencils. And people called us out on it. They're like, where's my pencil? But the thing with that campaign, it was all about price. And so we did marketing with a big P, and we tied it into pencils and price and things like that. That was just one clever. We did a lot of things. I still try to be clever and humorous, maybe not as spoofy though.
Yeah. My girls do a pretty good job. They follow the trends, and I have a marketing department here, and they're hilarious. And it's funny. And we try to mix in the humor, but then we also mix in the important stuff, showing the properties, showing the houses, and those sort of things too. So that's awesome. That's really good. So what are some red flags that agents miss when they don't have the construction knowledge?
Geez, the process. Understanding the process is so important because every builder has a different process. And builders, I think, and I love builders, but they're a funny breed. And I say that new construction is to resale as residential is to commercial. They act and live differently, and every builder is different with their process. A lot of times agents will assume this is how it's going to go, especially if they've sold one. They think it's like one size fits all, and it's really not the case. And builders work, deposits, there's so much to new construction to know and to learn. I love it, but again, it's not for everybody. It's a long payday. Some builders, especially after COVID, we used to build it like 7 to 8 months, and after COVID, during COVID, we went to 23 months.
Wow. And
a lot of my business years ago was probably 85% new construction. And I had rebranded our company back in 2015, 2016 to bring in resale because we were just referring it out. Like if somebody had a home to sell or people were coming to us, and I was like, what are we doing? And I had agents that did need resale, so we just expanded. And thankfully, during COVID, I didn't have a crystal ball, but thankfully I did rebrand and shift to where we're about 50-50. Right now, we're probably about 65% resale.
Okay.
And we still have new construction because that went to 23 months. And if 85% of my business, 90% was at 23 months, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a lot of things that can happen in 23 months.
Right.
That's a long pipeline.
It's a long pipeline. Now it's about 12 months, but we have a steady flow. My one project will probably have 23 closings on the one project alone.
I love it.
Next year. So
it's good to have. That's good to have in the bank right there.
But I found that I love resale. It's different. The dynamics are different. in a lot of ways, but the basics and the fundamentals and all of that. And I have great agents here who they're masters at what they do.
Yeah.
And we're a small brokerage. We're lean, but everybody here is really well educated and dedicated.
I love it. With it being a smaller brokerage and putting up $1 billion with a B, again, that's a huge number. How can agents be more effective? Like this could go, this is probably the question I probably know the answer to the most, because this is how I built my business. But how can agents serve clients more effectively across any community? Doesn't matter if you live in New York or Green Bay where I'm at, doesn't make a difference. How can agents serve clients more effectively?
They have to know the market and they have to understand. And if they're getting into a market that they're not as familiar with, understanding how to learn real quick and get up to speed with it.
For sure. So I think the other thing, and one of the things I did, I don't know if your agents do this, but just focusing like super hyper local content. For me, I built most of my business was based off of the fact that I just used the Gary Vee principles of jab, right hook, right? Like I would go out into the community, I would make videos for local businesses, and then lo and behold, that person, whether they referred me or not, or used me as their agent, didn't matter. The fact that they had a good opinion or a good idea of who I was mattered more than anything. And now I'm pretty well known. And I did that all within 3 years. And that was trying to get all of my agents to understand, like, that's how you build relationships, is you go and provide value and just keep it hyper local.
Absolutely. You have to cross channels. You can't just do one medium. You have to, from a marketing standpoint, we invest in print. Not a lot of brokerages do that. It works for us. It's pretty effective. But we also, all the platforms. And it's funny because the building we're in now, we built a few years ago, and it was under construction, and I was visiting the site, which I did every day. I'm sure the contractor wanted to kill me, but I was here every day. And I remember the guy who was installing the kitchen was in there, and I was really excited. So I was coming through the back, and he came bounding out the back door. And my state name, as far as for real estate, I have to use Cynthia, but I go by Cindy. And he comes bounding out the back door, and he goes, oh, Cynthia. And I was like, because now I know he doesn't know me. And I go, yeah. And he says, he goes, I see you everywhere. He goes, I see your billboard all the time. I didn't have a billboard running. So I don't know where he saw it, but I hadn't had a billboard in like 3 years. He goes, I see your billboard everywhere. And I'm like, so that's when you know you've penetrated. They don't know where, but...
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. I've had that happen before too. Oh, I saw your mailer. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or I saw your TV commercial. My brother does TV commercials, so they get me and him mixed up, which is fine with me.
Oh, that's good.
It's good. So I'm like, I'll let him go for a little while, and I go, hey, thanks, I appreciate it. I'm the older, better looking one. He's the younger one. So
there you go.
I love it. All right, so wrapping up, Cindy, obviously you've done an amazing job. One piece of advice that you can give for those agents that find out that may come to you and say, hey, why do I suck as an agent today? It doesn't mean that they suck as a human being. It doesn't mean they could just be in a slump or a rut. But what's the best advice you can give them?
I think they have to lay out what they're doing, be honest with themselves as far as what is working and what's not working, and put together a comprehensive plan and have a really strong mentor that can look at it and help you with it.
Love it. Advice for mentorship. Like how do they ask for somebody to be their mentor?
Hopefully it's their brokerage or their broker. So we're a small company, so I am the mentor here, but I've also started a leadership team. So growing those, and I have a couple other agents been with me for 10 years who are great mentors to others as well. But you also have to seek mentors outside of your arena. You really do. And how do you find one? You just go out there and you start researching. But I have mentors outside of this area.
Yeah.
I collaborate with brokers and agents outside of this area because I can't see everything, know everything, and be self-inspired. So I think, how to do that. There's so many options, which is tough.
Yeah.
But try to focus on who you are and who you want to be perceived as, and try to find that mentor who aligns with that.
Love it. Thank you so much, Cindy, for coming on, and appreciate it. I look forward to talking with you again. We've had a few chats here now over the last few
Yeah,
weeks.
thanks.
Appreciate everything you're doing. Thanks for coming on. And guys, that was the Why Do I Suck as a Real Estate Agent podcast. Make sure to give us a follow. And Cindy, how can they find you?
So we are located in upstate New York, Capital Region, Saratoga Springs, Signature One Realty Group.com, and 518 New Home. That's our direct contact.
Yeah, and give her a follow so you guys can see that new little
Yep.
marketing thing she's putting out there. So I'm excited to see that myself.
It's going to be different.
I love it. All right. Thanks again, Cindy.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Have a great new year.
So that's a wrap here on the Why Do I Suck as a Real Estate Agent podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with me and our guests. The people you hear on this show really aren't guessing. They've been doing the work. They've been doing it for a long time. They're sharing their behaviors, their habits, their successes, their systems that actually lead to real work, real success. So please subscribe and follow so you don't miss the next conversation. Until next time, remember, you don't suck. You're learning. It's the beginning, or maybe you're in a rut, but you don't suck. So make a few changes, stay curious, stay consistent, and please keep coming back.